Hello, Dr. G here from naturalfoodsdiet.org. There's a mineral that's incredibly important for health and continues to be low in the modern processed foods diet. Now, you've probably heard me talk before about how our soils where we grow our crops have been depleted of minerals, and this is because of modern agricultural practices. Today's health tip is concerning potassium, which is contained in commercial fertilizers. So potassium will be found even in conventionally raised crops. Now, one might ask, why do the conventional agriculture business bother to replace the potassium in the soil and not the other minerals? Well, the reason is potassium is so essential to plants that they won't grow without it. So big ag has no choice but to buy potassium. Usually that's been mined, and they add it to the soil. Pure potassium is actually a volatile metal which explodes when it's exposed to air or water. But the potassium ion is a critical component of nerve conduction, and it's also very important in fluid and electrolyte balance in mammalian systems. In fact, if our potassium goes too low, we die. Prospective studies have shown, such as the NHANES study of nutrition, that's an ongoing study here in the United States, shows that a low intake of potassium has negative health consequences. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, Internal Medicine, back in 2011, found a significant mortality benefit and lower stroke and heart disease in persons in the highest quartile of potassium intake versus people in the lowest quartile. In other words, if you take in a bunch of potassium, you're less likely to die and less likely to have a heart attack or stroke. So you might ask, well, how much potassium are we actually talking about here? Okay, here it is. In the NHANES study, that lowest quartile potassium intake was about 1.8 grams a day. And the highest quartile, the intake was about 4 grams a day. Now, the mortality benefits between these two are highly significant, up to a third less deaths. So it looks as though we definitely want to try to get our potassium intake at least to the level of that highest quartile. So how easy is it to get 4 grams of potassium daily in the diet? And would it be better to use potassium supplements? Okay, the first issue, or second issue, taking supplements is usually not a good option, as supplements only contain 99 milligrams of potassium. And that's because the toxic effects of a high dose of potassium in a tablet can actually burn a hole in your stomach. So even if you took the 10 tablets, you wouldn't even get 1 gram of potassium. Less than a quarter of what you need. Now, as the NHANES data tells us, it's easy to have a low potassium intake. And that's especially if we eat the standard American diet full of refined grains, sugars, and refined vegetable oils, as there's very little potassium in these foods. Now, root vegetables like beets and carrots and rutabagas are a very good source, having about 1.4 grams per pound. Green leafy vegetable sources like spinach and kale can have up to 2.5 grams per pound. Winter squash and sweet potatoes are other good sources, having about 2 grams per pound. There's also a good amount of potassium in meat and dairy products. Now, I have a health program where I put people with chronic diseases on a diet. And this diet consists of eating a lot of these foods. Now, there's other foods that are a good source of potassium, but I don't recommend for most people. One is bananas, and another is oranges. Now, everyone knows bananas are a rich source of potassium. The problem with the banana is, because of hybridization, the banana has become a rich source of sugar, and particularly fructose, which most of us can't handle well. Now, the only exception to this might be endurance athletes. That's a person that's out there exercising for hours, or laborers that are expending many extra calories during their work. Now, other foods that are relatively high in potassium, but in my opinion, should be limited in consumption for any person with significant health challenges. And these include potatoes and tomatoes, which are in the nightshade family, and chocolate and avocados. Okay, the bottom line here, eating a natural foods diet with lots of cooked vegetables, especially root vegetables, are great sources of potassium. Sweet potatoes and winter squash should be consumed regularly. Now, I personally have about 10 to 12 ounces of organic carrot juice every day, which piles on more potassium. If you add in organic animal products such as meat, dairy, and eggs, and put this whole diet together, you will find yourself in the low risk category as far as potassium intake is concerned. This is Dr. G. Thanks for watching.